The PlayStation 2 has one of the biggest and most diverse game libraries of any system ever. With literally thousands of games to choose from, one can easily get overlooked. I'm your host as always, Game Time, and today we're going to take a look at some hidden gems over on the PS2. Now these games are ones you may have flown under your radar, but are worth picking up and plopping in your disc tray for one more time. So let's go ahead and jump right in with our first game. Oni is a third-person action game developed by Bungie and published by Rockstar Games. This was one of my favorite games back in the day, but for whatever reason, I never hear people talk about it. The game did a lot to break new ground and by blending third-person shooting with hand-to-hand combat, and it flows between the two seamlessly. It also has a gripping story and many plot twists along the way. This game is super cheap these days, so if you definitely need to pick it up if you see it in a bargain bin somewhere. Back before Rock Band and Guitar Hero, Harmonix first got into the rhythm game with a game called Frequency, and man does this game rock. It's got a weird kind of funky style where you jump around and get all the notes. It's played with a controller, not with a guitar, and that's the kind of a down thing about it, but it makes up for it. I promise you, it has a great soundtrack. It keeps you engaged, and it's something you can go back and play over and over again, trying to get higher and higher scores. If you're into Guitar Hero, if you're into Rock Band, definitely give this game and its sequel called Amplitude, definitely give them a shot. Though the Ace Combat series is relatively popular, the last installment of the series on the PS2 seems to be almost forgotten by people, despite it being one of the best games on the system. Developed by Namco and released in 2006, this game was very late in the life cycle of the PS2 when people were gearing up to get their hands on the PS3 and Xbox 360. However, this game is beautiful and has some of the best graphics on the PS2, and the story is very immersive. It's a prequel to Ace Combat 5 and explains the backstory of the Balkan Wars. If you're into arcade flight sims, this game is definitely for you, one of the best ever.
There's not much difference between those countries from up here.
He is the man I see.
Next, we have Klonoa 2, which is a 2.5D platforming game developed by Namco and released in 2001. And I've talked about how much I enjoy the Klonoa series before, but this entry is my all-time favorite. The way the game flows makes it a load of fun, and I love that even though it's technically 2D, you can change between the planes you are running on by jumping between them. It also has these other gameplay elements like these waterboarding segments and other things like that. Do a great job of breaking up the gameplay so it never gets old or gets stale. If you get a chance to play this, definitely pick this game up. Graffiti Kingdom is one of the coolest and most different games I've ever played. Developed by Taito and released in 2005, the player is able to create characters known as graffiti creatures by drawing body parts and assigning it a function, such as leg or head. Each part has of its own attacks, and movements can also be customized. When I first played this, it was mind-blowing to me that when I drew wings on a character, it gave him the ability to fly. If I needed to go faster, I could just draw him with wheels and he would move faster. Also innovative for its time. It was mind-blowing, like I said. The game, however, went relatively unknown by most people despite its high praise from reviewers. I do see a lot of people playing this like on YouTube and stuff, but mainly because they remake animes and they remake like Pokemon on there out of the doodles, and they actually have battles. You know, very cool, but the game is very underrated. You should definitely give it a chance. A great RPG that is often overlooked is Jade Cocoon 2. Developed by Genki and released in 2001, this RPG has a massive 3D world to explore with over 200 cutscenes with full voice acting. The depth in this game alone should have been enough for it to be noticed by the masses. However, most people overlooked this game and instead opted for the more popular Final Fantasy series. To me though, Jade Cocoon gives it a run for its money. If you're looking for an RPG to sink countless hours into, this may be the one you're looking for. Girl Lancer Generations is both a compilation of Girl Lancer 2 and Girl Lancer 3 and the sole North American release of both games. The North American localizations of both games were produced by Working Designs and released in 2004. The game features an isometric perspective, squad-based battles between diverse parties, and complicated system that cause and affect fights play out in. It also has customizable character development and is overall one of the better tactical RPGs on the system. So if you see it for a decent price, make sure you guys are picking this game up as well. Heavenly Guardians is a scrolling shooter game developed by Starfish SD and released in 2008. Another game that was released super late and for the most part looked over by most gamers who had moved on to the next generation of systems. But this game is super fun. The game was originally going to be released as a sequel to the Pocky and Rocky series on the Super Nintendo. However, due to legal issues with Squaresoft, they were forced to change the title and the characters while they did maintain the core gameplay. If you're into Super Nintendo style of art and shooters, make sure to check this game out. It is an absolute gem. Haunting Ground is a survival horror game developed by Capcom and released in 2005. The story follows Fiona Belly, a young girl who wakes up in the dungeon of a castle after being involved in a car accident. Fiona seeks to escape the castle and unravel mysteries of its inhabitants. The game shares many similarities with the Capcom's earlier survival horror title, Clock Tower 3, and has been described as a spiritual successor to Clock Tower, the series. It is said to be one of the best horror games ever made, so if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a copy of this, as it is rather expensive, make sure you guys give it a play. And finally, Ico is a puzzle platformer and action-adventure game that came out in 2001. The game is based around a boy meets girl concept. The game has a beautiful visual and fun gameplay. The puzzle solving never gets too stale, and the story is absolutely amazing. Although it was not a commercial success, it was critically acclaimed for its art and story elements and received several awards, including a nomination for Game of the Year. The game was later re-released on the PlayStation 3, bundled with Shadow of the Colossus, another amazing game. So if you want to check this game out, I'd recommend getting it for the PS3 in that bundle in HD. But that's all we have time for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are new around here to get more videos like this in your sub box. And let me know what your favorite PS2 games and all of that stuff is down in the comments section. But until next time, guys, remember that's always K-Mac time somewhere. So take it easy and peace out.